Hello, greetings of the day. This is Charan. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the full stack project that I've done. I'm going to be talking about the models that I've chosen based on what I've seen from the Figma design, and I'm going to talk about the unit test cases that I've written, and I'm also going to talk about the database choices and the front end stack that I've chosen, and I'm going to be explaining the reasons behind them as I go on. So let's first start with the backend thing. So for the backend, let's start with the models. So based on the data that was, that I'm seeing right here on the Figma design, we need to have three different models kind of gather that information based on this new item category. So basically, if I click on this, we should be able to add a new category, and that would change the total number of categories that we are seeing here, right? And same goes for the new item as well. So when I click on new item, I should be able to add an item which has these properties like SKU, name, tags, category, in stock, available stock, and the other ones for tags. So for any different item, we have multiple tags, right? So I kind of created three different models based on that information. So let's go to the model. So this is how I created the model. This particular item has connection to the category model as well as the tags model. So that is the information that we could see here. And I have also added, created it and updated it. So this is something that I've created especially for, maintaining, query when we make a query on date range. So for example, if you wanted to get the products in between the date range, this will be very useful, right? So for that purpose, I have created these two fields, even though we are not showing that information on the UI. So that's the models thing that I've created. And now uh, let's go ahead and see what are the APIs that we have. So this is where I have hosted my backend. So here you could see that these are the three endpoints, the items, categories, and tags that we could see here. Technically, you won't be able to see this information unless you have logged in, which I already did. So let's see if I try to come in from here. So obviously it will first ask for the credentials, and then only once I give in the right credentials, let's give in some wrong credentials, and you could see that it says the authentication credentials were not provided. So that means we gave in the wrong credentials. Let's give in the right credentials now. And no, the password is not sharing as well. So let's sign in. You could see that we are now able to sign in. So let's see here. So once we sign in, you will be able to see this information that we have on tags, categories, and items. So if you wanted to add, another new tag here, you could just give in that information in this name input field, and then you can click on post, and then you will be able to, add that information to the tags. And same goes for the categories as well. If you want to give them that information, you just add that information, then you click on post. Same goes for the item as well. Here you could see the different items that we have in our database, and then you will be able to add another information as you need to this particular thing, right? Now, if you wanted to like modify this information, what you wanted to do is you want to go to the admin page, and it will first ask for the authentication. If you don't have any authorization to this, you won't be able to log in. So these are my super user credentials that I'm logging in with. So once I click on login, I will be able to see the different items that I have or the categories and tags. So if I wanted to delete anything, all I have to do is, delete the selected items, which I don't want to do right now. And the same goes for the categories as well. You can interact with the different categories, and here you will be able to see the different users. Yeah. So this is all fairly straightforward. This is how you can manipulate the data that is currently in our database. Okay, now let's go ahead and see the unit test cases that I've written. So obviously, the first thing that we wanted to make sure is that whatever it is, the route, we wanted to make sure that it has, only if it has authorized access, we will allow the users to access that particular API. So for that, these are the two test cases that I've written especially for that. So for example, if the user is trying to access a particular URL, whether it's a query or if it's a normal URL that he's trying to access, we are making sure that he has these credentials. I'm generating a token and then I'm checking. So he has the token here, so he should be getting 200 response. because that's the right way, right way to do it. And if he doesn't have any credentials, so this is where I'm removing the credentials from the user, and then I'm again trying to hit the API. So in this case, we will get this 401 error because he does not have the access because there's no token. And I have also added some other test cases to see earlier. I've talked about the date range filter. So here I'm making sure that we are getting the right kind of information. I've incorporated some logic to check if we are getting the right data as well. Right. So basically, I've created two different items. One dating back to a year back, and then I'm checking if we have the right kind of data or not. And then again, when we are creating a new item, I'm checking if it is authorized or not. So for example, here we have this new item, right? When we click on it, we have to make sure that whenever that EBA is being hit, he has the access to it. So of course here, if he has logged into this page, obviously means he's logged in, but he's somehow got the URL. Still, even if he tries to try it from Postman or some other place, we will make sure that that particular user has the right authorization. Only then he'll be able to add. So this is the test case which kind of tests that, and then we have some basic test cases for logging and registration. So these are the two different functionalities where we don't need any token, right? So if he is registering and then if he's trying to logging in, he doesn't need to provide any token. He can just do that normally. And then there's something called categories. If you are trying to get items list or category list or the tag list, we have to make sure that he is being authenticated, and only then he'll be able to access the information. And this is the where I've set up the mock data. So this is kind of creating some mock data for us to work with the different test cases. So these are the different test cases that I've written for different functionalities in mind. So I guess at least for now, if I think I was being thorough, but at least in terms of main thing, that for example, if a user has no access and is still trying to access any API, so for those main cases, I've tried to make sure that the unit cases are being covered. From security purpose, I think the Unity cases cover very well. So that's something that I want to highlight. And yeah, that's pretty much the backend. Um, and let's go on to the front end part right now. So on the front end, oh yeah, before going on to the front end, I would like to talk about the databases that I've chosen because I think that's important to talk as well. So in the development thing, I've chosen SQLite because it was very easy to set up and then work on with it. The reason being, you don't have to have a separate server for the database, which kind of makes the development smooth and easier. But when it came to the production, I have used the Postgres. Um, I've used the Postgres database. The reason being, when it comes to scaling, so especially right now, we could see that there are not a lot of items that we could see here. The total items, even in the Figma design, is only 21. So, but in the future, there could be, a lot of other, URLs. I mean, a lot of other items coming in as well, right? So we want to make sure that our application or the database is scalable. So for that reason, I've chosen the PostgreSQL database, and also the data that we are inserting into database whenever we are retrieving back or making any updates, we want to make sure that the data is reliable. The data is not being tampered with by something else. We want the data to have its integrity, and that's something PostgreSQL offers us. So that's another reason why I'm choosing. And and third reason being, um, since I've deployed this project on Heroku app, Heroku app doesn't need any extra kind of setup when we are going with PostgreSQL. So that's one more reason. Kind of gets easier when when you choose PostgreSQL. So that's one of the reasons as well. So these are the reasons why I've chosen PostgreSQL. So now that we have talked about everything that is related to backend, I would like to proceed ahead with the front end as well. So in the front end, I've chosen React. That's because it's one of the popular front-end libraries, and also the setup of the project is fairly simple. So all you have to do is just clone the project, and then you do npm I, basically installing the dependencies, and then you start npm start. So that will keep the project running. So I've already done that to save some time. So this is the login or the home kind of page before login. Um, so let's see to create an account. Here I've already created one account with test 23. So let's create with test 24. So let's not give all this information and try to create an account. So this will make sure that the email is valid, right? So you have to make sure that you are giving in a valid email when you're creating an account. And let's try to give some random password. So, okay, this says that you have to make sure it has one uppercase, one lowercase, and then special, one digit, and the minimum length being 4. So let's go ahead and give what it is that it needed. So yeah, and then let's create the account. Okay. Now that we have created the account, we are able to log into this page where we are seeing a lot of information. The side panel. Also, we have this new item category from which we could add the new category, and then we could click on new item. It will ask this information, and then when you click on add item, you'll be able to do that. Um, so let's talk about the search things and everything. Then we'll see how new item and new item category works as well. So this search item that I've implemented, it's based on SKU, name, and category. So for example, if I type in raw materials, right? And click on search. So it will give me the categories that are in the raw materials only. So that way I can search for different items. Or let's say I want to search for based on beeswax, right? And then it will only give this beeswax that I have in my name. So that's how the search thing works. And then there's also sort function. So you can actually sort this based on the names. So for example, if I click on the name, you could see that we have these in alphabetical order, right? And then there's stock status. So if I go to stock status, I have 185, 186, 239, 599. So this is basically in the increasing order for the stock status. I can do this for available stock as well. So that is something, increasing values. So the sort functionality is there, and then search functionality is there. And let's also test the date. So for example, if I go to February 26 to February 29, obviously there should be no data because we haven't even gone to that point, right? Which is why there's no data here. But if I change it to Feb 4th and then apply, we could see all this information. So we have all the information that we need in the data, in the date range that we have created. So there's goes that. If I try to add a new item, I could do this by, let's say, some American wood or AMWD, and then category. So here I'm giving the IDs and not, the actual name itself. Kind of doesn't make too much sense because people would not directly understand what is this category. So that's something that I would work on as the next step. So basically, when you click on the category, you have a drop down, allowing us to choose from different categories and different tags, kind of like how it is in the admin dashboard, right? So if you go to the admin dashboard when you are, going here, and then if you create an item, you kind of have this option to select different things, right? So that is something that I would, implement the next time. Then I click on the add item, and then the item has been added successfully. And then let's see where it is. American wood, here it is. So we have added this item successfully. And the same thing, we can add a category. Maybe let's call it resold products. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, category added successfully, and then you could see that item category has changed as well. Before it was 4, now it is 5. So this is how it is, the main dashboard and the front end. And then I did not implement any functionalities for this. Right now, they are just there. And there's one thing that actually works is this logout. When you click on logout, you will be able to, log out of this particular session. Before that, I want to show like how it is in the mobile as well. So that way we know that this is responsive as well. So I have created this side toggle thing so that we have a clear see as to what are the different things we have. So when you click on it, it will kind of sidebar comes and goes. So the UI thing definitely could use an improvement. Not gonna lie there. The spacing here could work a little bit. and you could scroll down vertically, horizontally to see the different contents of the table. And then you kind of have the similar functionalities that you have in the desktop as well. So you could click on the stock status, and then you have this increasing stock status. The functionality wouldn't change even if we have a different device, right? So we have the different functionalities there. Let me zoom in. So this is how it is. Yeah, for the mobile. So I've made it responsive. Let's switch to the desktop back again. Now let's talk about the logout functionality as well. So basically, when you click on the logout, you will be logged out of this application. So let's go ahead and click on this. So basically, what happens is the token that we generally use for authorization, that's being cleared from the local storage, and then we'll get redirected to this page. So if you want to log in again, you can log in. So again, now what happens is that particular token that we have gets added to the local storage. So this is the logout and login functionality that I've implemented. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think I've covered everything. We have talked about the models, have talked about the database connection that I've made, and I've also talked about the API endpoints, and I've also talked about the different query thing. So this is basically the search, the date filtering, and then the sort filtering that I've talked about it. And then I've also talked about how do we make sure that the API endpoints are secure, and then I've also talked about the unit test cases. So these are the different things that I've worked on. And let's see on the Swagger as well. So this is the Swagger. So first, what I did was I wrote the APIs in Postman. Once I've created the collection, and then I kind of use that collection that I have from a Postman to Swagger. I implemented this, and let's say, for example, if we wanted to try out this particular API. So these are the different APIs that we have: register, login, get items, or add a new item, or add new category. So these are the different things. And then let's try it out, right? And then I try to execute this, right? We are getting the information, but how do we actually make sure that only the people who have the right access are getting this information? So since I've already logged in previously, it is giving this information. Now let's say I'm logging in for the first time, without logging in. Let's try it out, and then I click on execute. So it will first make sure that it will give in the credentials. Now, if I give in some random credentials that these are not in the database, so now what happens? Now what happens is that it will say invalid credentials were provided. So error 401, kind of what we were expecting. And now if I try it out again, but this time I'll try to give in the right credentials, right? And now you could say that again, we got a 200 response. The same goes for the get items, post categories, and post items. And for login, there is no token needed. Same goes for the registration as well. So these are the three different APIs for which the authorization is kind of mandatory, and that's how I kind of worked around with that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The project is about. And I've also done the front end task, and I'm assuming that you do not need me to walk through the front end take home challenge where I fixed some bugs. I've also did it in the code sandbox. I'll be sharing my entire code base um, with you. So the front end as well as the back end thing. So we have the Kaizen front end and the back end project. So I'll be sharing those links with you. And I'll be sharing the Swagger documentation file, and I'll also share the login credentials if needed, along with the token, so that you'll be able to try out these APIs on your own. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you do need any other information from my end, just let me know. Thank you. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye.